Welcome back, fantasy managers, to the Game Week 12 special at the -4 FPL podcast, episode 10. Very welcome back. Short turnaround between game weeks here, but excited to get going after what was, I think, all around what was a very disappointing game week. So hopefully, Game Week 12 midweek games can bring a bit more luck to our teams and maybe a bit more of that boost in the ranking. What do you think about the weekend, lads? How did Game Week 11 go for you?
Not that good. I
It went,
think I'm the lowest.
yeah. You'll see
You're
now, but
shocking.
wasn't too dissatisfied. Like it's more like small green arrow, if anything.
Yeah, and like it's one of those things you just literally you need to put it out of your mind almost instantly um because those emotions can get the better of you, especially with these like I wanted to transfer out so many players after the games at the weekend there, Bowen and Madison and
Rage
all those lads
transfer.
included. But exactly, so
Cooler heads
literally.
prevailed, though. Thankfully.
Well, that's it. Hopefully, it can be a little bit better. So, I suppose we'll start off as we usually do in segment one, which is how everyone got on, points wise and player wise at the weekend. We'll start off with yourself, Ryan, on your points total for game week 11. What did you think?
um, I think that's Patrick's app's broken again, or it's glitched because I definitely had more than 39 points there.
Not this is actually Aodhan's app, so you can't hide behind that this time.
Bollocks.
Yeah, that
um,
that, that is
yeah,
the
so
numbers
uh,
the numbers don't lie on my screen.
so I had a poor week. I think it might be the lowest I've ever gotten in fantasy. Actually, all the years I've played it, 39. I look at my goalkeeper and back three, so I had Pope, Saliba, Perisic, and Cancelo. Uh, Three of them returned. I was happy with Pope, Saliba, and Perisic. Cancelo got done by Salah, but I was hoping they'd keep a clean sheet and do a 0-0 so that everyone would kind of blank in the attacking ones because everyone else had Haaland captain.
Yeah.
Then I had Martinelli, De Bruyne, Eze, and Antony in midfield. I didn't see the City or Arsenal game, so I don't really know how the two of them played. I watched most of the Palace game. Um, yeah, Eze was pretty good, like, but I mean, that he didn't really have much movement in front of him in terms of the wingers. Anyways, I think Zaha and it was IU especially were dreadful.
Yeah.
Um, then Anthony, finally we got to see him run at players at the weekend. Pat, he had Dan Burn beat for pace, but that's not too hard.
Yeah,
Um, and he had a few good balls in, like to Ronaldo and that, but nothing really came of it. A few shots on target. And then I had Haaland, Edward, and well, Mope wasn't starting at all. I had St. Maximin starting as well, but then no one or nothing. I didn't know he was missing for the next like 3 games. It just came out of nowhere. So Neil
yeah,
Mope came on for a nice 1 pointer.
Uh,
And then I had Edward captain because he's been in good form, and he was actually probably one of the better players for Palace at the weekend. And he played a nice one too with Eze, and I was like, oh, this is the like double like the double points here for the two of them.
mm.
And then Danny Ward, who I talked a lot about the last day, actually made a save.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I think Danny Ward's coming back to bite us in the arse now of it, is he? He's doing
but
all this to spite us.
I wouldn't mind then. I was like, okay, Edward's kind of getting a bit more now. And literally 1 minute later, I see Elisa getting ready to come on. And I was like, okay, that's probably IU going off. But he brought Edward off, put IU into the centre, and then put Elisa on. And then he decided to keep IU on and bring Zaha off then later on. And I was like, I don't think he wants to win the game at all. But look.
He was
But yeah,
scrappy
I
enough
mean,
at the point.
yeah, I mean, like on the bench, then I had 3 injured players and Danny Ward, but Danny Ward didn't do any better than Nick Pope, so I mean, didn't really miss out on much. But yeah,
yeah.
per week. But sure, we move onto the midweek games and hopefully get a hopefully double that at least.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Anyways,
I think
but yeah,
I think having Haaland blank probably saved you a little bit there.
Yeah,
Um,
that was great. I mean, obviously, if he did score, like I would be getting points, and I'd probably gotten up to 50 or something. But everyone else in the world had him captain, whoever
mhm.
had him, so it wouldn't have worked out. That's why I was hoping for a 0-0 and Cancelo getting the six anyway. But I
Yeah,
mean, the
this was the week to go against the Haaland captaincy. It turned out we thought that him playing at Liverpool, even though he was playing Liverpool away, probably traditionally over the past few years the hardest fixture he could have possibly played in. We thought he was still going to get a hat trick, but it turns out that wasn't to be. So yeah, good shout going.
I
A
mean,
differential
Edward still
captain.
got the same, like, but I mean, it was worth a wee punt.
Yeah, it was a good. It was a good. It was a great idea, but unfortunately didn't work out.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, because Haaland actually had like plenty of chances. If the Foden goal wasn't disallowed, he would have had an assist. And then he, with a bit more luck and Allison maybe being a bit more off form, he would have got a goal there as well. So
And by the sound of things, Van Dijk was very good as well.
yeah, for once he pulled it up for the big games. Fair play.
It's nice
Yeah.
to see. I do like Big Virgil.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll move on to Pat next.
Yes.
A bit more successful of a game week.
Yeah, a little bit more positive.
49 points.
Yeah, 49 points. So it was if you look at that team, there's a lot of people who've returned on that team, so I'm happy enough with it in its current state. So I'll go through the team: Pope, Cancelo, Trippier, and Perisic. So Trippier, Perisic, and Pope all returning there. Perisic with a nice 8-point game. We're really not sure how the bonus point system works, because I thought I didn't think he was that great, to be honest, but he did. I mean, he had a solid game. I wouldn't say he was the second best player on the pitch though.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll take it. 8 points from him. De Bruyne, Andreas Pereira, Martinelli, and Sinistera. Yeah, De Bruyne obviously blanking, but fair play to Andreas, man. Big shout out to that guy, because he's been fantastic the past couple of weeks when we've needed him most. I've only played him, I think, 3 times this year, but he's returned every single time.
I think it's pretty close to me as well. He comes on when you need him or someone gets injured, and he always does something. Him being on set pieces as well is brilliant.
Fair play to him, hey. It's not much, but it's honest work, you could say.
Yeah.
Martinelli, blank. I didn't see much of the match. I did see that, Sinistera played well, so I'm not surprised he didn't score against Arsenal, but I'm hoping he gets one now midweek. He repays my faith that I put in him after all that nonsense with the red card. And then up front, Haaland, Scamacca, and Kane. So really happy to have Kane. He's since he blanked the first week, he hasn't blanked since, and he scored 9 goals in 9 games since. So you can't ask for more than that for Kane. And I'm glad that I've had him in my team this whole time, because he's been getting consistent returns. A couple of penalties in the past few games, but it was he did well to buy that penalty, let's say.
Oh, he did, yeah. I think it was Pickford was stupid, but Harry Kane wasn't going anywhere with that, and he knew it, so he just hit the deck right away.
Yeah, and then Scamacca played really well and was unlucky not to score. I would have had a high expected goal involvement in that match, I would say. But I guess he is playing Liverpool next, so let's hope Liverpool revert to their shitty form as opposed to their form they demonstrated at home against City at the weekend.
You're not wrong. Yeah, lovely. It's brilliant when your defenders can pick up nice points for you, especially clean sheet points and all, because it gives you so much more of a base. Because those midfielders, obviously, every single one of them can blow hot and cold. And if all your midfielders nearly blank, that's where you really, really need your defenders to kick in for you.
Yeah. So to summarize, pretty happy with 49. Small could have been better, because all my players returned on the first day, but then only the defenders for Newcastle returned on the second day. Just the way it worked out.
Yeah. Well, it's a brand new game week coming up in not even 24 hours, so at least there's no time to ponder, I suppose.
No time to cry over it.
No, definitely not. Anyways, speaking of crying, my team. Yeah, my game week 11 was 45 points, which on the grand scheme of things could have gone a lot worse, but also could have gone a lot better. Pope and goals for 6 and Trippier for 6, which was basically the saviour of my weekend. Any Manchester United goal there would have taken me down to, mid-30s, which would have been absolutely disastrous. So Pope for 6, Trippier for 6, Cancelo for 2. That Salah goal was absolutely heartbreaking because I'd say Cancelo is probably up there on bonus again. And my one transfer this week was Reece James to Dunk, and I had a short list of 3 players that I was going to bring in. Matt Doherty being one of them, Mark Gahey being the second, and Dunk being the third, which I eventually settled on. And Dunk was the only lad that didn't return. So that if you're ever looking for a summary on my
Dems the bricks.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
Oh, absolutely. Well, anyways,
we did warn you though. We did say that he was going to score an own goal, and he didn't do that. So you can count yourself lucky.
That's true. I decided just to go with my gut, I suppose, and it just didn't work out, which is grand. They do have Nottingham Forest at the weekend though, so that was kind of the game that I was probably needing him more, I suppose. So that's grand. De Bruyne for 2, Zaha for 3, Bowen for 2, Maddison for 2. All quite disappointing, I think. From what I've heard, I've only watched highlights this weekend for the first time in a long time, so don't have a huge amount of info on it. Maddison obviously out. Got himself yellow carded in the 94th minute, which will probably force me into a -4. Whereas
-4.
I know, but I had initially had the transfer planned, which would have left me with 11 players. Maddison getting himself suspended will now mean I'll have to take a -4 to field 11 players. So it could be an interesting switch there that we may reveal later on. Andreas Pereira for 5 points. Absolute G coming up with a nice corner there for Diop. Haaland captain for 4 points, and the absolute GOAT Dominic Solanke for 12 points. Pulled a masterclass out of Zars when I needed him most. So absolutely delighted. And for a player that I was only looking to really have as my first or second sub, delighted with his output so far. I think he scored 9 points and 12 points respectively the last 2 weeks. So pulling me out of a hole when I needed him most. It would have been 2 pretty poor weeks the last 2 weeks if it wasn't for him. So Dominic Solanke fan club, your first VIP member. So yeah, 45 points, small red arrow, very minimal. I think my rank before was about 300 and something thousand. I think I'm just slightly down, maybe to 360, 370, something like that. So not too much of a hit. And for a 45-point game week, I was expecting a bigger blow than that. So quite happy overall. I currently have 10 players out of 11 playing in this future game at the midweek for tomorrow's deadline. So a bit of tinkering to be done that we'll announce later on.
Very good.
Enough.
Let's hope they all start as well. That's what I'm more worried about.
Exactly.
There's a few of my players who could well be benched, I think. But we don't worry about that. Let's just assume they're all going to start. You really got in Solanke at the right time because he done absolutely nothing up until this point since you got him in, and he's done. I think he's got 20 points now.
Yeah,
something like that. No, he scored. I think it was 8 or 9 points last week and 12 points this week. And the only other game he returned in was the game he scored. He scored 2 in that comeback win against Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
And I think that was the only other time that he returned. But he's just one of those lads. He's always in the box, and he doesn't do a huge amount. He doesn't run the channels really. He stays in and around there. He's perfect for those square balls from Philip Billing yesterday. And his assist was the handiest assist he'll ever get in his life. It was literally a 2-yard square pass to Lerma on the run. So if he can stick around that penalty spot, it's exactly like Mitrovic, where he'll just pick up those flick-ons for assists like last week, and those points do add up. And when you're playing on a team like Bournemouth as well, I suppose if you do anything attacking wise at all, you're probably going to be up there on the bonus points. So delighted with him now.
Yeah, no, that's a good shout getting him in, definitely. Shall we look at the other two absent members' teams quickly and see how they got on? Darren,
so
doing pretty well here.
Obviously, I'm joined here by Patrick and Ryan. Cillian and Darren can't be here this week, so we'll just run through their teams quickly. So Darren with a game week total of 54. Actually 54 being the best point total of all of us over the weekend there, so fair play, Darren. Had Jose Sa for 14 points.
Cheeky penalty save.
Unbelievable. Yeah, penalty save and save points on top, I would imagine, and bonus points. So fair play, Jose Sa for 14. That was a masterclass.
That was his transfer as well. That was his one guy got in.
Yeah, he took a -4 now, but it definitely paid off when you can get 14 points from your keeper. It's always a good week. Had Saliba for 5. I think Arsenal are actually quite lucky to get their clean sheet, but they all count.
He shouldn't have had his yellow card. I saw recently there that the Leeds man was offside whenever he hit it in for the handball, but sure, we won't talk about it anyway because we got the clean sheet.
Yeah, there we go. And Trippier for 6, Zaha for 3, De Bruyne for 2, Almiron for 3, Rashford for 1, and Trossard for 2. So blanks all across the midfield there. But and from what I was kind of hearing, Trossard definitely could have had one, and Rashford was very, very wasteful from what I saw on the highlights. So definitely could have been, at least a 60-point game week if he was a wee bit luckier. Tony with 2 goals just keeps chugging along, that lad. And his penalties, like as soon as Brentford get a penalty, you just know it's going in the back of the net with his penalty technique. It's just phenomenal.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is, yeah. He just waits for the keeper to move, so he runs at the ball not knowing what way he's going until he sees what way the keeper shifts, and then he'll go that direction. So it's impossible for keepers. So it's literally like a game of chicken. He just waits for the keeper to go and then just hits it the opposite way. So happy days. And he actually had 15 points here with Mitrovic and Perisic on the bench as well. So
Jesus.
Darren definitely playing a blinder of a week and quite unlucky. So fair play, Darren. He's pulling up those ranks a little bit.
That's not the first points he's left on the bench either.
So definitely not. No. To be fair, I think with Mitrovic being injured, I think it probably was the right call in hindsight leaving him on the bench. But Perisic, I think he was probably thinking he would be dropped for that game as well. So very, very unlucky. But moving on to Cillian's team now. Cillian with a score of 44. Not the greatest, but if you take into consideration the points he has on the bench, it could have been a lot better. He had Dean Henderson for 2 points here, Cancelo for 2, Trippier for 6, and Castagna, who he brought in last week, coming out with another clean sheet. So fair play, Castagna being a great shout since
he could have had a goal too.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, he just poorly controlled it on his chest and went out behind for a goal kick.
Lovely. So he had Pascal Gross as well for 2 points, Palhinha for 2, De Bruyne for 2, and Saka with that lovely goal into the roof of the net for 9 points. Then he had Mitrovic for 7, Jesus blanking with 2, and Haaland captain for 4 points, with also having Fabian Schär and Van Dijk on the bench for 8 points each. So easily could have been in the mid-50s as well had he obviously with hindsight and all that stuff. So I'll actually take a look at the mini league here that we're in as well and see what we're all sitting on. So Cillian currently sitting on 44 points for the week with a grand total of 532. Darren with a total of 568. Next we have Ryan with a grand total of 596. We then have Patrick with 610, so Lafferty definitely breathing down your neck, Patrick.
No,
And
the gap is growing. Yeah, I think.
it's 14 points at the minute, so he's getting there. When Maximan comes back, man, it's over for you. Huh? But,
If Maximum never comes back.
And then myself sitting on 644, so a bit of a gap there, but like one or 2 weeks, especially at the start here, could change that in a heartbeat. So hopefully hopefully you can crawl that gap back.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Anyways, we'll take a look. We'll take a look at the fixtures for game week 12. Obviously, we're recording on a Monday night, so we're recording about 24 hours before the deadline here. So, for anyone wondering, game week 12 deadline is Tuesday at 6 p.m. Obviously, the first kickoff being around 7:30, I'd imagine. So, Tuesday evening, we have Brighton at home to Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace at home to Wolves. Wednesday evening, then, we have Bournemouth at home to Southampton, Brentford at home to Chelsea, Liverpool at home to West Ham, Newcastle at home to Everton, and Man U at home to Spurs, which could be a very, very tasty fixture. And then Thursday evening, we have Fulham at home to Aston Villa and Leicester at home to Leeds. So definitely a lot of very targetable fixtures, but obviously with the blank with Man City
Arsenal
and
and City.
Arsenal. Yes,
Yeah.
there we go. Man City and Arsenal blanking. It's a huge dilemma for fantasy managers trying to navigate their bench, and then obviously with suspensions and injuries and everything on top of that, I think it's a week where you're going to see most people taking at least one hit, if not free hitting or wildcarding. Hint, hint for later on. But it's a lot of fixtures in hindsight there that you could target and look like quite nice fixtures for the likes of Brighton, maybe at home to Nottingham Forest, Chelsea v Brentford, Liverpool at home to West Ham, Leicester and Leeds, all games that you could see players hauling in. But the real difficulty, I suppose, with this week is trying to field 11 players, isn't it, lads?
Not for me, man.
Yeah,
No.
you're a different breed, yeah, because as he can reveal later on, that a chip has been activated for you, Lafferty. So
Yeah, I think for a lot of people that have a lot of injury problems have sprung up, like for you,
Yeah.
especially Ryan, like with St. Maximan and stuff. But a lot of people had Reece James and had to replace him with injury, and it's annoying now for Madison owners not having him this week against a home match against Leeds. You would have been expecting him to get something from that.
he was actually very impressive from what I saw. When I was on the bus home there, I probably watched the guts of the first half against Leicester v Crystal Palace, and I thought Madison was the best player on the pitch
It's a
in
pain.
terms of just getting in
He
good
had
position.
Did he
he had
see?
a few chances.
Did you see what he got the yellow card for?
No.
I heard it was a
It was
dive,
a dive,
actually,
yeah, diving apparently.
which makes it even worse. Like,
And then 94th minute.
it's a killer,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's, you couldn't write it.
Popped up, and I was just like, that popped up for me. I like because I was seeing if Eze might have sneaked a late one because I stopped watching it, and then I checked the thing, and literally it just popped up like James Madison 90+4, and I was like, oh, Aodhan's gonna be so pissed off with this.
When I saw that go into the chat, I actually thought, it was a piss take. To be honest, I thought it was just people trying to wind me up.
Especially coming from me, like.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was yourselves or my housemates that put it in, but oh man, it's such a killer, so unnecessary. And for a player like Madison who doesn't really have to get a huge amount of yellow cards for the position he plays, it's so
Gareth Southgate was there as well, man.
I know, which probably makes it worse. But anyways, I'm gritting my teeth here, and I'll put my anger to the side for a while. But
I'm really looking forward to watching Liverpool and West Ham. I think that could be a good fixture. Although,
yeah, depending on who you may plan to bring in fantasy. I suppose it could be
West
a
Ham
very
were
very
lucky
tasty
enough
one.
against Southampton as well.
Yeah.
Fabianski kept them in the game in the first half anyway. But
From what I heard, they were very very lackluster. Yeah.
Very
But
hard to know what kind of team's going to come out.
yeah,
But I think West Ham could definitely score against Liverpool, especially with all Liverpool's defensive injuries. So I think it could be a decent match. I think lads like Firmino and Nunez as well. I think Jota is out injured now, so it's becoming
yeah, I think he has a calf injury, so it's looking like that front three for Liverpool is pretty set now.
that was the only concern. So it's good.
Yeah.
Might be a good time to get one of those.
yeah. Well, with Nunes is just the thing for me is obviously he came on against City and like he showed like flashes of what he can do, but then he also showed that he has no composure whatsoever in a lot of situations. He's sprinting through 3-on-1, had to just square it across the Salah and it's 2-0 and he shot.
Yeah, it's
one of those. But what I actually mentioned on last week's pod was this exact front three that we saw in spells against Rangers in the Champions League was Nunes out on the left and Firmino playing that false nine in the middle. I think it's brilliant.
That probably
for
does
Firmino.
work better, yeah.
Yeah, I think in terms of space and behind, and you're talking, you're probably talking more towards Firmino and Salah. I think in fantasy terms, I think Firmino's a better pick than Nunes right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially with the price difference. So I think a lot of fantasy managers are going to be going for probably one of Firmino or Salah. If not this week, then definitely in the coming weeks. And I think for Firmino, he's got that goal scoring edge back to him this year, but it also makes way for Salah when Firmino can drop in into midfield and give Salah that run in behind. I think it's going to be a lot more exciting for Liverpool forward. I think, but definitely one of them may be coming into my team in the next, if not this week for a hit, probably looking like definitely next week. So
Spurs United could be another interesting one, guys. Like we have.
It's going to be
I would say
like,
Spurs are probably favourites for that.
Yeah, definitely Spurs are favourites, but it's one of them things where like everyone will write off Manchester United and then they'll like turn up and put in like the performance of a lifetime and win like 3-0 or something like that. It's just something that they just tend to do time and time again. Like
actually takes me back to this exact game last year when United were at home. It was a fantastic game. I think it was 3-2. I think Ronaldo had 2. Kane had 2. And it was just an absolutely brilliant game. But on the flip side, you could see it being a 0-0 just as easy as well.
Yeah.
So like both
1-0.
those teams seem to have shored up a lot defensively. Obviously, we know Spurs are good defensively, won't give too much away. But you could also see Man United keeping a clean sheet as well, as they have done in the last while. They actually look a bit more of a defensive unit. Varane being back as well, it didn't really look like Newcastle were going to create much either from what I saw in the highlights.
Lucky not to give away a penalty as well in that first half.
I thought it was a penalty. I thought it was a stonewaller.
Yeah, same. That's what I was saying. Like Varane was very lucky not to, or was it the Varane one, or then there was a Trippier one as well. I didn't really see them more than once, but
didn't see the trip, or I didn't see the
but
Trippier one.
Callum Wilson got absolutely like sandwiched. Like
yeah,
I didn't understand it. Obviously, it wasn't a goal scoring opportunity or whatever, but I just thought in isolation it was just a foul. But anyways, these referees just don't seem to have any accountability at all. When there's VAR, they'll just let things go and let the VAR make any crucial decisions for them, which I think is a bit counterproductive. But
yeah, silly.
Hot take.
Yeah. Anyways, well, it is. Like I think, especially like when you're watching these games, there's always one VAR controversy nearly every game. So I don't.
Speaking of VAR as well, it's going to be making its debut in Scotland next week.
Yeah, that's even
So
with Scottish officiating.
yeah,
That's just
it's going to be so funny.
bad.
It's like
Gonna be so bad.
10 penalties to Rangers.
Stop. But anyways, well, new Scottish podcast coming to your
Yeah.
ear holes next week. Right, that wraps up segment 1. Anyways, we'll move on to 2, being transfer plans, and especially this week being our chip strategies, because everyone seems to be everyone's going to be playing one. If they haven't already, they're going to be playing one very, very soon. If not this week. Wink, wink. Right.
Wink. What?
But we'll
You're so
start
coy, Aodhan. You're so coy. Give us.
No, I'm just trying to tease you, lads.
He's the real McCoy.
Yeah. But we have one lad who is not present this week, Mr. Cillian Ferry, the creator of our fantastic intro
He's
and
not
outro.
dead, by
for
the way.
pod
I
here.
just said R.I.P. He's not.
He's R.I.P. on the bus
On the bus.
at the minute. So
We've got
we'll move on to his. He's actually pulling the wild card this week. As he has a lot of injuries and team problems with Man City and Arsenal not playing. So he's playing the wild card now with just keeping his City assets, etc., on the bench. So he's starting off with a wild card team here of Jose Sa against Crystal Palace. And he's actually doubling up on the Wolves defence here with Kilman also playing. He has Trippier at home to Everton, Castagna at home to Leeds, and Perisic away to Manchester United, wrapping up the back line. Quite a strong back line, actually, for the fixtures. So he's definitely targeting this week and next week, I suppose, to try and make up some points.
double Wolves defence, though. I'm not sure. I mean,
I'm not sure either, but
Could be the most genius play of all time, either.
that's the thing, because obviously watching that Leicester game the last day, Crystal Palace didn't really
They had one shot on target in the whole match.
Yeah.
Well,
and they took the man that had that shot on target off 10 seconds after he had it, and I'm still not forgiving you for that, Patrick Vieira.
Yeah.
You're salty for your Odson Edward omission, yeah, which is fair, because especially when you try and go against the template a bit and it still doesn't work out, so it's a killer.
I think that could be a good shout, because
it could be.
Let me read out Wolves' fixtures here to the World Cup. So you got Crystal Palace next, then they've got Leicester, Brentford, Brighton, Arsenal, and then it's the World Cup. So I mean, 4 of those games, I would say you would be you. There's definitely clean sheets to be had there in those 5.
Yeah, even if it's not this week, then you can definitely see at least 3 possibly between the World Cup.
Yeah, they've got Collins back this week from his red card as well, so that'll strengthen them.
Yeah, I'll see a huge plus for them. Yeah.
And it'll actually allow them to play a proper 5 back again. I think they've been using wing backs as, extra centre back. So
Johnny,
maybe you could get Johnny Otto back. Yeah.
So, don't think I'll get Johnny back. Maybe.
Johnny did the job for a while, didn't he?
You got a couple of clean sheets for me. Should have had a few more. No, not a sniff of an attacking return though. So
no,
not much upside.
Yeah, so we'll move on to Killian's wildcard midfield here, with Billing coming in. I suppose I'm not even mad. That's amazing. I'm not even mad either. As a cheap enabler at that
I love
at that price point, it's grand, because Bournemouth have, I think their fixtures get a bit tough now after Southampton at home, but he'll be one of those lads that he can always, he could have as his number 2 or number 3 sub, no bother, with having the City lads on the bench. So he's also gone with a double Brighton midfield here of Pascal Gross and Leandro Trossard at home to Nottingham Forest.
This I do not like.
Is doubling up possibly wouldn't be what I would go with, but he's kind of cheaped out a lot on the midfield here. He's got bank, man. Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. He must have some amount of money, because he does. I think he does have De
Bruyne and Haaland on the bench. Yeah, De Bruyne and Haaland on the bench.
De Bruyne and Haaland on his bench. So that's probably fair enough.
I don't like
So he has
I don't like having Gross, lads. I think he's been really poor recently, and I think he could do better than that.
with I would tend to agree with a Serb, or is it De Zerbi, the way he plays now. He doesn't play a 5 back anymore. He's playing the kind of 4-2-3-1. And De Zerbi actually stated in his press conference there, it was either today or late last night, he's playing, I think he's planning on starting Adam Lallana in the game midweek, so hopefully that doesn't end up with Pascal Gross on the bench, but we shall see.
Could it mean he's going to bench Trossard either?
I couldn't see that, but
Especially being like probably their most threatening player, him and McAllister.
yeah, definitely. I think Patoma played against Brentford there.
Oh yes, yes.
He's now injured, so that could be where Lallana slots in, but we shall see. And then he's sticking with good old trusty Palhinha in midfield at home to Villa. So
he's never going to learn, lads.
Not sure how many points Cillian will get out of his midfield, but
why not just go to Pereira? It's cheaper. Why not just go to Pereira?
Because he's living and dying by the meme, as Aodhan said the last day.
Because I was between Dunk and Doherty, and I was just like, the stick in the group chat would be good crack.
Doherty had a very good game, to be fair.
I was just like, feck it, because if Dunk kept a clean sheet, then I could have shoved it in your faces, but we'll see.
Sorry, my dog's biting me.
So, and then up top, he's gone for Roberto Firmino at home to West Ham, and
good pick.
Yep.
He has captained Mitrovic. He's captained Mitrovic then at home to Villa.
I like that.
That is a fantastic wildcard team, can I just say, apart from some of those midfielders.
Yeah, I rate.
So you're saying that's a fantastic team apart from that whole midfield?
Pretty much, yeah. I know he's got De Bruyne on the bench, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's
stranger things have happened. Like Palhinha could end up scoring a fucking hat trick.
You know, we'll probably be the ones
crying.
He could be the one. Yeah, he could be the one laughing at us come Thursday evening. So
if Palhinha scores the hat trick, I'll eat my hat.
What hat?
I'll find a hat and eat it.
Your Kansas City Chiefs hat.
Yeah, I'll eat that hat. If he scores a hat trick, there you go.
But yeah, so I suppose anyone that's thinking of a wild card, that's kind of where one of us is started off. I don't think there's any other wild cards.
They look like that.
Out of the 5 of us, and definitely I don't think there'll be a single wild card in the world that'll look like this one here. So at least he's out there and he's trying to attack certain fixtures, I suppose, with Trossard, etc. So, you know, if it pays off in this week alone, then you know it could be well worth it.
There's going to be like, you know, in the future, you know, in 100 years from now, there's going to be like scholars going over Cillian's like fantasy Premier League his team selections, and then basically like trying to sort of figure out how the genius in it works, you know. And the fact is that there is no thought behind it. It's all just like cosmic. It's all just instinct.
Yeah, there'll be studies done on this lad in years to come as
literally
decision making and all that. But yeah, we'll move on. I suppose we have the 3 of us here. Darren's currently in Paris, so he didn't have the capacity to.
Very overrated city, if you ask me.
I would agree with you. Yeah,
I don't like it at all.
Yeah, but he's over in Paris at the minute, so we don't have his input for his team. So we'll just go through the 3 of us, how we're going to navigate game week 12 without Manchester City and Arsenal and injuries and all that kind of stuff. So who'll we start off with, Pat?
Well, I suppose I can start. So my team, I've got pretty much a starting team. I've got 2 free transfers, sorry.
Nice to have.
Because I just rolled last week, so I'll be getting rid of De Bruyne anyway, and I'm unsure who I'm going to get him in for. It's going to be possibly someone in pretty temporary. And then I need to replace Patterson, who's injured at the minute. But then the hope is after that I should have a full 11 boys out. So here's my thoughts on who to swap those two players for. So if you were to just pick on form, I guess Mason Mount is probably a good player to get in for De Bruyne. If you look at the last 2 game weeks, he scored. I know he scored
2 goals
15,
and 2 assists
2
in the last
goals
2 games.
and 2 assists in the past 2 games, and pretty much that's the first thing he's done all season though. And if you look at like the expected points this weekend, you won't find Mount on there at all for some reason. Tricky enough fixture, I suppose, away to Brentford. But if you were to just pick on form, I would probably get him in. The other options to replace De Bruyne with, in my opinion, on my budget, are Trossard, most likely, and if you want to go for a punt, I suppose you could go for Bruno Guimaraes, who's been in good form.
So tell me this, Pat. You're on about downgrading De Bruyne.
Yeah.
You're talking about a downgrade of at least 4 million there. What's your thinking there?
I think so. The long term plan is to downgrade him to a cheaper player. Probably, if I was to let it get mounted, let's say, then
Mhm.
I would swap Patterson out for maybe a sort of somewhere between a 4.5 and a 5 defender, and then after that I would upgrade some of my midfielders to some of the 8 million midfielders. The one I really want to get is Saka, but I don't want to spoil future podcasts with my future plans. But yeah, that's the plan. I wanna move away from De Bruyne and maybe spend the money on sort of more sort of medium price midfielders. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be Mount or Trossard realistically. Probably Trossard because of the fixture, and I'll probably swap Patterson for either. I've 4 names here. If sort of a boring pick might be Webster or Gahey for Crystal Palace, cheap defenders. Matt Doherty
Mhm.
is looks like he's playing well, and we know from last season that he's gonna, you know, he has the ability to be a great FPL asset. So maybe not the guy to get in this week with the Man United fixture away from home, and then a punt might be Ben Chilwell just to capitalize on the fact that he's relatively cheap,
Yeah.
considering the fact that he had a few price drops, and he could, he's got attacking returns in him as well. So that it's a bit of a punt, but that might be where I go. Chilwell.
Interesting.
Oh, snap.
Nice, snap. No, I don't mind that actually. One, I was actually kind of thinking somewhat along a similar line with De Bruyne.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the long term, well, obviously the long term being 2 weeks away, but I think between now and the World Cup, I'd probably rather Foden over De Bruyne. Save yourself that cash,
Yeah.
and
Get you about
you
10
know,
goals.
Yeah,
use
he's
that
more of a goal
money
threat.
elsewhere. Well, that's it. I think for 4 million less, or it's probably even more. It's probably near 4.5 million, maybe. But Foden is chucking out the same XG and expected goal involvements and all that good stuff that De Bruyne has been all season. You just don't know what Pep would do. He's equally liable to drop Foden as he is De Bruyne. So I think
Well,
I think I'd rather just take the risk on either. But it definitely won't be this week. But I think going forward, I think Foden's probably the best.
Yeah.
In that price range, maybe. And then if you're going for fixtures alone, Mason Mount is probably untouchable right now in terms of rotation.
Yeah, well, expected minutes, I'd say probably Mount would be a good shout. But I think now that Haaland's in the game, it's probably someone we're going to captain every week. So there's an argument to be made, like, why do I need to spend that much money on another premium player where I could like just literally only have one premium? and have sort of, medium priced, good scoring players, in every other position.
Exactly.
And I think that is I have 3 premiums at the minute, so I'm moving away from that. Although it's treated me well over the past couple of weeks, I think I am
Definitely
going.
having Harry Kane in there and
Yeah.
sticking with him is probably the best thing you could have done, because
Hmm.
he just tops up your points tally every week without hesitation. So
Oh yeah, I won't be getting rid of him.
definitely, if I was to do it again, I would definitely go with the Kane and Haaland combo, and take money out elsewhere.
Right from the start, I think that would have been the best set and forget team, having those two in it.
Absolutely. I saw a tweet today, and the best set and forget team would actually be number 1 in FPL right now by a long shot.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you like how fickle the game is.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We don't have the hindsight generator.
No,
Can't see the future.
definitely not. Ryan, what about yourself? What's your? I know you're pulling a little cheeky chip on us this week, but what are
Yeah,
you thinking?
so I had like 7 players missing in terms of injury, and then like Arsenal and City players as well. So, and I'd already used my wild card, so the only logical thing for me to do really was to use my free hit. Not when I wanted to use it, obviously, but sure, look, sometimes you have to just bite the bullet. And so for my original team that got 39 points, I've kept 1, 2, 3, 4. I've kept five players, and then players are Pope, Ward, Anthony, French Eddie, and Perisic. Sorry, my dog's fighting with me. um, um, and then players that I've brought in. So we'll start with defenders. I've got a Joel Veltman for Brighton. I had him in a few weeks ago, but as soon as I brought him in, their fixture got cancelled, so I never got to use him, and I transferred him out again. So this is just an apology for Joel, I suppose. Brought in Trippier as well because he's just got that constant like set piece threat. He like even if he's got a set piece in his own half, he'll just like hoof it right into the box. And like you've seen in the last day, Joelinton freaking header
Yeah,
off the post. It came back to him and he headed it off the post again. So
unbelievable.
and then I've gone for one that maybe no one. I don't know if anyone even knows who he is, but he's a football manager guy that always gives me bother in Football Manager. But he plays for Southampton, and he's called Perrault. He scored the last day against West Ham, actually.
Nice. Very good.
And they're playing Bournemouth as well. I know it's away from home, but they've played pretty well in that first half against West Ham. So
Yeah, he likes to bomb forward, so he does as
he
well.
does, yeah.
So he definitely
And
he got a screamer or two towards the end of last season as well.
yeah,
So
and
always
then
thereabouts.
fuck, I'm going to just put you on the ground because you're pissing me off.
Technical difficulties.
Dog troubles for you, Spotify listeners.
And then it was funny because Patrick was talking about like, oh, who's a differential pick as a defender this week, and that being Ashley Young. And
oh my god,
I'm actually between Ashley Young and Andrew Robertson, so I don't know who yet. Ashley Young mainly because he's been playing fantastically over the last however many games, 5-6 games, full unbeaten in the last 4 until the Chelsea game. Scored a screamer against Forest. He hits all the set pieces when he does play, and we know what kind of quality he can put into the box. It's just if anyone can actually finish it. So that's my thought process behind him, but I'm not too sure on that yet.
Yeah.
Then in terms of midfielders, then a couple of blue guys, Mason Mount. I brought Mason Mount and at Rossard have come in.
Yep. Both of my considered transfers.
Yeah, and then I'm going back to one of my favourite players of all time in the Premier League. Didn't do much for me at the start of the season, but I'm bringing him in because he's been on pretty decent form the last while, and that's Heung-min Son.
Nice.
Because if he plays, he has been playing well. He didn't get a goal against Everton, but he was still kind of dangerous enough. And on his day, he can score 5 goals if he wants.
Got to spend that money somewhere, right?
And then
sure.
I got for Leicester against Leeds, I got Harvey Barnes, cheeky
Oh,
Harvey
good.
Barnes in,
Could be good, yeah. Like that.
and
like that,
then
especially with Madison out there.
yeah, and then strikers I've brought in. I've brought in Danny Ings for Villa because he should be starting for Villa anyway. He's probably your best striker, and he's proven in the Premier League year after year with Southampton. And then that last match against Chelsea, especially having Watkins playing out wide, where he'd been playing for most of his career, and then Bailey on the other side, it seemed to work a bit better. And Danny Ings, if you get the ball to him in the box, 9 times out of 10 he's going to score. Like so.
Yeah, from what I
And
saw on Twitter, actually, that front three of Bailey, Watkins, and Ings is like what a lot of fans wanted to
yeah, it
stay
is.
the following week. Like, obviously coming for yourself, but loads of other Villa fans alike were like, this is where I think the most chemistry or the best dynamic, I suppose, because they
Yeah,
created so many chances.
I mean, like,
And
yeah,
if
Bailey
it
hit the
wasn't
post
for
and Kepa turned into Prem Buffon. And yeah,
Hmm.
like that save
if
from
it wasn't
that
for
Danny
Kepa,
Ings header was one of the best saves I've ever seen in my life.
yeah, absolutely.
And then I also brought in, well, I'm not 100% yet, so I was looking at a few ones and obviously I had a few ideas, but Roberto Firmino is one of them, obviously, because he's been in good form and he seems like a very good pick to have right now. But then I was also looking at another Southampton player in Shea Adams for the game against Bournemouth. And I see your face, Patrick, but
Not
Shea
sure about
Adams,
that
when
one.
Shea Adams, especially against that Bournemouth defence, and when he's on form, he will score a lot of goals.
What's wrong with
He
that
made
Bournemouth defence? Bournemouth defence is good.
They're,
I mean,
they're not good.
they let in 9 goals at one time, but they've been pretty solid since.
But they're just
they're actually unbeaten since that Liverpool game. The only team in the Premier League that's been unbeaten, but that'll all
yeah.
like for teams like Bournemouth, it'll come to an end eventually. But
I mean, like, if I'm picking an all-time Premier League 11, Lloyd Kelly's not getting in that, is he? Or freaking Zamora, or freaking Chris Mepham, or
Jefferson
like
Lerma, man.
there's
That could be. That's probably my cheeky pick this week.
Jefferson Lerma. No, but yeah, I'm still not 100% on that. Like, it's not set in stone. Well, a lot of it is, but then it's just with like picks up front and maybe switch something else around in midfield or something. But because I've still got Anthony and Perisic and Eddie as well, so
yeah,
not 100% sure.
It seems
I
pretty good.
think like from the highlights that I was watching, Che Adams is unlucky to get a goal himself. I think if it wasn't for Fabianski
Fabianski was very good, apparently. Yeah.
He definitely could have got a lot more. So
It pains me to bring him in too because I don't like Che Adams as a person. Don't like Che Adams. Being an ex-Birmingham fella, he's a bit of a scumbag, like, but sure, look.
There we go.
Where are these hot takes coming from tonight?
Well, let's mean
you have until 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. So I will say, don't be surprised if I do alter it, maybe one or two players, but I'd say it's like 90%. Like, that's it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Hope it works out. They're always fun.
So do I.
They're always fun. Free hits. But you might as well go for some wild ones.
You may as well. You may as well go chasing points, especially if you're on a free hit, because you're never going to see that team again. So
I know.
You may as well just have a bit of fun with it, I suppose.
Unless they do really well, and I just take a minus to get them all back in. Like,
there you go.
Minus 40. Yeah. But yeah, I suppose my team. I was looking nearly at the perfect setup for week 12, and it's just kind of evaded me now with Madison and Reece James. Injury last week has kind of messed the whole thing up, I suppose. But the way I'm looking now without subs is in goal to Everton. Emerson playing against Liverpool. He did start the last day. And I think especially against Liverpool, they'll probably revert to a 5-back to try and combat Liverpool's attack. Whether Emerson stays in my team or not, I'm not sure. I think there's definitely better options elsewhere, but if Emerson can get a 2-pointer, then it could just negate taking a hit and just not bothering with a -4.
Yeah,
but we'll see. Because whoever I'd have to bring in, I'd have to be like 100% sure they'd get a clean sheet
Yeah.
just to make any points at all. So I could just leave him there. Trippier, Dunk, and Nico Williams, with kind of with the rest of the defensive lineup. Nico Williams now looks like he's back in the team. Aurier picked up an injury, so it looks like Nico Williams will play against Brighton, which is good.
Thank God.
If God is right. Then a midfield of Zaha, Bowen, and Andreas Pereira, with Maddison having this red flag because he's got himself suspended for a match. And then Mitrovic up top with Dominic Solanke. So it leaves me with 10 players playing.
Yeah.
And one transfer in hand. My first thoughts were to move De Bruyne to Salah and to keep Maddison, I suppose, because his fixtures are quite nice. He does have Wolves away, and then he does have City, but that's kind of when all my City players will come back into the team, etc. So, Maddison could be well moved on to Phil Foden by week 13. We just never know. But downgrading De Bruyne, taking a one City player out, taking Salah in, would also give me the leeway to move Maddison to Foden on later on down the line. So that could be done for free transfer. And that would leave me with 11 starting players.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that's probably all I'll do. My only other one transfer that I would make, I think, would be Emerson, possibly to a Palace defender. I think that would be the only other option that I'd make. But then again, in saying that, you're looking for a clean sheet from Palace to try and make up your -4.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth it for a hit personally. I think in that situation you just go for whatever Emerson can give you.
Yeah, so as it stands right now, it'll be Kevin De Bruyne to either Mo Salah or Heung-min Son, I think.
Yeah.
Whichever one of those I'll pick, I'll just have to go through. I suppose, like, I'll take a look here at the fixtures for both teams. So De Bruyne to Salah would give me, fixtures of West Ham at home, Forest away, Leeds at home, Spurs away, and then you have Southampton at home and Southampton at home to round up the 5 games before the World Cup. So you're talking kind of four very good games for Liverpool, and then one kind of iffy one against Spurs. And then in retrospect, you're going to go to Heung-min Son and kind of what he has lined up. He has United away. He has Newcastle, Bournemouth, Liverpool at home, and then Leeds. So you're probably looking at Salah having the nicer fixtures, but you also have Heung-min Son with that ability to pull a madness out of his arse, which Salah doesn't seem to be doing recently. So
neither of them have been doing it recently, to be fair. So that's kind of a pick based on their potential we've seen from years before. But
absolutely. So as it stands, I'd imagine my only transfer will be Kevin De Bruyne to Mo Salah, and I'd have 11 players ready to go.
Would you captain Salah?
If Salah does come in, which I'd imagine he will, he'll be my captain.
I'm kind of stuck on captain this week. I think I might have to captain Trossard if I bring him in, or go for Kane against Man United. So away. So I'm really not sure.
Potential for both. There, when Kane played against United away last year, I think he scored 2 points and took a share of the bonus points with Ronaldo. So it is one of those games where, one Kane penalty and maybe one assist and the captain's justified. So
that's it. Why not go something different though? no Haaland this
Okay.
week, so let's just go for something mad. Why
I'm
not?
going to
That's it.
give myself a new rule where I'm only allowed to captain Haaland like once a month because it's just boring to me.
Once a month.
It's just boring. It's just boring to me. So
I
I'm going to
know.
pick the thing, and I'm just going to.
Why not? It's good to be different.
Fair
Lads,
enough. It always creates a good conversation in the group chat when you have those out there picks as well. Like,
yeah, lads.
so in saying that, lads, as it stands, my captain is going to be Mo Salah. Ryan, who are you going on as it stands?
As it stands, I'm between Trossard and Son.
Interesting. And Patrick, what about yourself?
If I bring in Trossard, it will probably be Trossard. If I was to go for a mad pick, Leon Bailey, captain.
If I was to go for a mad pick, I'd freaking do Ashley Young as captain, but he's not in my team yet, so.
Yeah.
Interesting. Brilliant. So that's the three of us wrapped up now. Not a lot, I suppose. Like Ryan's pulling a free hit, so everything's going on. But
Yeah,
with,
it's going to be an interesting.
it is. It really is.
No, this week is going to be interesting.
If I get less than 39, I'm going to cry. Like.
Yeah, this week has such a huge there'll be a huge variance this week. I think this week is definitely one of the ones that'll make or break your season in terms of your mini leagues, or if any of you are kind of bothered about rank or whatever. But this is going to be one of those weeks where captaincy will be crucial.
Yeah, why not just have some fun with it? That's my
Absolutely.
plan anyway.
This is the kind of weeks where you do have the most fun as well, when everyone's not on the same captain and the same kind of players.
Yeah, that's it.
It definitely is good to see. So hopefully it treats all of you as well. That wraps up segment 2 quite nicely. Hopefully you took something away from that. And as always, if you have any comments on it, or any team suggestions or anything like that, please do drop them down below. So I think that's a good kind of place to wrap up our fantasy segment, I suppose. Patrick, if you want to take us away for your famous trivia round.
Apparently a very difficult one today, so...
I'm not feeling too confident.
This is a very subjective trivia round. I'm conscious we've been going for over an hour here, so we'll make this nice and quick. So I have a list here of, I think, a magazine. What's my source for this? This
like
is
442 or something.
Give me sport website, and it's their top 10 sexiest Premier League footballers. So, and there is some absolute nobodies on this list. So I hope you're gonna give this a good go.
Is this of all time, or is this currently?
This is current, and you've got 3 minutes to do this. So if you can get 5 of these, I would be very impressed.
Well, there's one obvious one, and if he's not on it, it's stupid. Or who wants to go? Aodhan, are you go first, or me, or what?
So, yeah, it's just myself and yourself, Ryan. So yeah, I'll start off anyways. My mind is just it's doing somersaults here.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, I'll start off with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Nope.
Surely, yeah. What?
So wait, what?
James Madison.
Nope.
Something's wrong here.
Who was doing this list?
This is the Give Me Sport magazine.
I think Stevie Wonder is doing this list. Virgil van Dijk?
Nope.
Come off it.
João Cancelo?
Nope.
Boy, something's going on here. Raphael Varane, he's a good looking lad.
Nope.
Jack Grealish?
No, he's not on it. But the number 1 guy is also called Jack. So there's a clue.
That's nearly for.
Yeah, that's just made it worse for us. Like,
that's got me even more.
Some of these guys you would have never heard of. Well, you would have heard of because they're in the Fantasy Premier League, but
Jack Colback?
Nope.
Okay, let me just go against the grain here, because obviously the ones that you'd expect to be are Harry Kane.
Nope. I doubt he's in the top 100.
Heung-min Son?
Nope.
Get off it, like.
This is a ridiculous freaking list, man. Philip Coutinho.
He's number 11. Unlucky.
Go away, like. Right, I'm just thinking now through.
Think of
Alright,
who's the
okay,
nicest.
I'll give you a clue. One of them is a good possible captaincy pick this week.
Trossard?
Yep, that's Trossard, number 3.
I'm going for the one who's got the best bird, and that's Douglas Luiz.
No.
That's shambles. He's so
That's
handsome,
shambles, man. Oh my god. Bernardo Silva.
Nope.
Good looking lad too, like.
Number 1
Yes.
guy is from Bournemouth. Number 2 is from Brighton. 3 is from Brighton, but you already have him. 4 from City. 5 from Leeds.
Shh,
Alright.
shut up.
We're
trying
time
to-
limited here.
Dominic Solanke.
No.
This is disgraceful. Like, this is
He
a
did.
stupid
He may
fucking list.
have been. He may also be one of Bournemouth's best players, though.
Billing?
No,
Ah,
Billing.
this game sucks.
you guys just don't have
like-
an eye for handsome footballers. It turns out.
I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo's not on it. He's one of the probably the most attractive men in the world. Like,
Well, maybe he's just a bit past it now. Okay, that's time anyway.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna
Oh
go
my
through the list
God.
here.
oh, it's just
I'm gonna go through
Did
the
we
list
get
here.
any? We got
you got
one.
one. We got Trossard, yeah,
man.
You got one. All right.
and I got number 11 as well.
So here's the top 10. Okay. Number 10, Gavin Bazunu.
Okay,
No.
right.
Good Irish lad. Number 9, Joshua Wilson Ebrand from Man City.
Myself and
Well,
Laffer were literally just
We were talking
him
about him before this podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
earlier.
Number 8, Jean-Luc Leban from Everton. I think he's a goalie.
Who?
I've never heard of him.
How many
either.
games has he played in the Premier League?
Not many.
If any.
Number 7, Joachim Anderson for.
Fair enough, actually. Fair.
Yeah, he's pretty good looking. Yeah,
Very fair.
terrible match the last day, but he's
Number 6, Jefferson Lerma.
Okay.
Can you see that?
it's French
I'm
Eddie.
not sure.
Because French Eddie's a handsome lad. Is he on it?
No. Number 5, Diego Llorente for Leeds.
Right.
That's all he's got going for him,
Yeah.
man. He's not a good footballer.
Yeah, I know he's not.
Number 4, Oscar Bob for Man City.
Oh my god, I was talking to you about Oscar Bob as well, like a few weeks ago. That's so funny. He hasn't played in the Premier League either.
Well, he's on the
Oh,
Man
yeah.
City team, though. There you go.
Yeah, but this is a disgrace.
Shocking.
This is a terrible
Shocking.
trivia, man.
This, it's not. I didn't make this list. You can blame
No, to be fair,
Give Me
to be
Sport.
fair.
Number 3, Leandro Trossard. Number 2, Teddy Jenks from Brighton. Teddy Jenks.
Teddy James.
I think these are all made up people, man.
No, man. Teddy Jenks is a real person. That's a really cool name.
What's the Bournemouth lad up front now? Is it Kiefer Moore, man?
No, number 1 is Jack Stacey from Bournemouth. There you go.
I have to have words with whoever made that list, like
Right.
because it is absolutely shambolic.
That's
Give me
it.
sport if you're listening to the podcast.
Give Me Sport are
Don't-
such a shit page anyway. Like, they spout shit.
Don't ever sponsor us.
To be fair, it was. I think it was like a public voted list, and
Were they all
Cristiano
blind?
Ronaldo 212th on this list.
Were they all blind?
I think Stevie Wonder's
It's like I don't care if you
Army
don't like
were-
Ronaldo, but he's a handsome boy.
absolutely.
Ben White didn't even get a mention on this list, so there you go. Or Jack
Yeah.
Grealish.
He's too much fake tan to be fair to him though, Ben White.
Yeah,
Mad.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
all good looking lads. Fair play to Gavin Bazunu making the top 10. Now, good to see
Yeah,
some Irish representation up there.
I'll take that.
We'll take that. We got not much else going on.
Because we didn't get much else.
Oh.
We got 1 out of 10 there after nearly having nearly having 2 perfect weeks back to back there. So
Kieran Tierney, number 14, ahead of Martin Odegaard. So there you go. Good one up there
Yeah.
for KT.
Martin Odegaard's Patrick's favourite looking player in the league.
I did say
Odegaard,
that on a previous podcast, didn't I?
he is a good-looking chap.
I think that's enough rambling though, and tangential topics to FPL. Let's wrap this up because
Absolutely. Anyways, deadline is Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. Hopefully everyone gets their transfers in nice and early. Doesn't miss that deadline. That game at 7:30 is gonna throw a lot of spanners in the works with people and their deadlines. So yeah, that's from myself, Patrick, Ryan, and Ryan's dog. We
You can't see him right now.
no,
he is there somewhere.
He's there somewhere. But yeah, hopefully everyone has a fantastic week 12, lads. Thanks for joining me. And
No worries.
as always, -4pod on Twitter. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please do give us a like and give us a nice wee supportive comment in the comment section down below. But from us, that is all. And we'll chat to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, lads. Bye.